Now, Oxfam has lost another ambassador tonight amid the scandal which has engulfed the charity. Last night it was Minnie Driver who stepped away. Now the well-known Senegalese musician Baba Maal has told Newsnight he's breaking his link to the organisation. Mr Maal had been a global ambassador for Oxfam since 2012, but in a statement he told this programme, "What has happened on a human level is disgusting and heartbreaking. It is very sad. Vulnerable people, especially children, should always be protected. As such, I am disassociating myself from Oxfam immediately." Well, meanwhile, more continues to emerge about Oxfam and other NGOs. It's the familiar phenomenon of the dam bursting. One accusation breaks through at first, leading to a flood thereafter. Tonight we bring you separate testimony from two former aid workers who together raise new questions about the crisis in the sector. Now we'll start with Lesley Agams, who worked as Oxfam's country director in Nigeria and who claims she was sexually assaulted by a more senior manager while on an official gathering in Oxford in 2010. Now she informally reported what had happened and tried to secure an apology, only to find herself sacked from the charity a few months later. Well, I spoke to Lesley Agams from Abuja in Nigeria early this evening, starting with what had happened on that night in Oxford in 2010, when she was attending a conference with her line manager.
Myself and other country directors from West Africa, we'd been sitting with him, just talking shop. He kept on referring to a document that he wanted me to see. I wasn't sure what it was, and he kept on saying that he'd want me to go, pick it up when we go upstairs. I went. At the time, I only hesitated for one reason. I didn't want to be seen in his room or stay too long in his room because I didn't want any kind of anything that might impinge on my professional capacity. But I went anyway to pick up the document. I thought it was going to be a brief visit. We got to his room. He showed me what I discovered was a concept map. I told him that, okay, let's discuss it on Monday, the next day. As I was leaving the room and about to go out the door, he grabbed me and he assaulted me. I managed to get out of his grip and run out of the hotel room.
Well, I'm sorry to make you recount that. And let's pick up the story after, because you did tell Oxfam, you told someone there, and you didn't make a formal complaint at that point. You thought you would try and deal with it by extracting an apology and a guarantee it wouldn't happen again. You didn't want to make a formal complaint, did you?
I think I need to give some context. I mean, why didn't you report? That's the question every victim and survivor of violence against women is always asked. I was aware that I was working in a macho environment. Even at our regional headquarters, there was a casual kind of sexism that was always going on. At the time this incident happened, I felt that if I reported, it would jeopardize my job, that even if my abuser was punished, that I would not be able to work in West Africa. As for the question of an apology, well, that was a suggestion of the HR person that I spoke to, that I reported this incident to at Oxfam. Her first question to me was whether I'd had an affair with him. It wasn't until later that it occurred to me that for her to ask me that question meant she completely didn't believe what I was saying in the first place.
But perhaps the most extraordinary part of this story is that you were then terminated. You were sent a note of dismissal from Oxfam, what, about 3 months later? And of course, the man who you say assaulted you was involved in the decision to terminate your contract.
He was the one who delivered the letter to me. He was the one who signed the letter to me. And while I'm sure that other people might have been involved in that decision, he was the one who carried it out.
You in the end did leave Oxfam. You were pushed
That's
out.
correct.
And you had a terrible time trying to get them to see it from your point of view.
They made no effort whatsoever to actually conduct a proper investigation. I wasn't able to go and make this report to the Thames Valley Police till 12 months later. And at the time, they told me how unfortunate it was because they could no longer request for the CCTV footage from the hotel, that would have at least shown me running out of the hotel room, both going in with him to the hotel room and running out of the hotel room. Because the CCTV footage is only kept for 6 months. And that was a time when I even got even more angry with Oxfam.
I think many people will be surprised that an organisation that is so progressive in its political campaigns and in its general outlook would be handling this in a way that leaves you so very, very dissatisfied. What's gone wrong here? What's going on here, do you think?
I was extremely surprised myself. I started work in the humanitarian sector 5 years before that because I thought that it was an international organization, it was a humanitarian organization, and I thought that I would be protected. I thought I would be safeguarded from sexual harassment and from sexual abuse. I did not, in my wildest imagination, think I would receive the sort of treatment that I did. I think it's self-evident. I think Oxfam has put their reputation before the lives of both the people who work for them and the people who they claim to work for.
Lesley, what is your advice to people who want to help poorer countries, who maybe have a desire to donate money to those NGOs who are going to help poorer countries? What is your advice? Is your advice, don't give money to Oxfam? Is Oxfam really worse than the other ones?
I think the real issue here is an issue of power. I don't think I think it's an organization that just got too powerful, and as they do say, power corrupts, and they began to revel more in their power than the good things they do for people. But aid, if people want to help is good. That's what makes us human. That's what keeps us human. And I think it's important that we continue to support each other as human beings. I think after my treatment, a lot of the stories that I've heard from from women who have no intention of coming forward because they still have careers, and from what we've heard both from Haiti and Chad, I think that statement that women are at the center of our work takes on a very sinister meaning.
Lesley Agams, thank you so much for talking to us this evening. Thank you very much indeed.